Coach Aubrey here, and welcome to today's episode. I'm going to talk to you all about nutrition labels and especially all those protein supplements like protein bars, protein powders that we often go to and we might not really know what we're eating. And so I hope this video helps you. And if it does, make sure you like and subscribe so that way you get notifications when new videos are coming out. All right, so I'm going to dive right in here. Nutrition labels, let's just start there. It turns out the FDA is allowed to be up to 20% inaccurate on nutrition labels. So I want to preface this whole video by telling you that, because no matter what you're choosing and how rigid you're being on your macros, when you look at those nutrition labels, 9 times out of 10, they're lying, maybe more than that. So they can, especially in this day and age and the trend towards health, they can really downplay a lot. They can downplay the sugar in there. They can upplay the protein. They can downplay the fats or the carbs. So take it with a grain of salt every time you read a nutrition label. And if you really want to be careful, the biggest recommendation I have is to eat whole food. Just eat clean whole food. Prep it yourself so that way you know exactly what's going into it. And the fewer ingredients, the better. So for example, chicken. You go and you buy chicken, you prep it yourself, you know exactly what you're getting. Now, if you want to get really nerdy, there's some, different methods to packaging, to processing, grass-fed versus non-grass-fed. There's all these different issues going on right now. So if you really want to jump all in, I would say find a local butcher, get your meat from that butcher, and go to a farmer's market for all your produce. That's honestly what probably the best case scenario would be. But if you're like most of us and you run out of time to do all that stuff, or it's just not practical for you, then this video is going to be for you. So let's just dive right in. Keeping in mind that these labels can be quite off. But what I want to point out is that there's no good protein bars out there. And I hate that. I hate that I have to rip the Band-Aid off. I eat protein bars sometimes, but I never make it a habit. And that's what I really want to get across in this video, is that there's no clean protein bars out there. When it comes to protein powders, a lot of them have fillers. A lot of them can be marketed one way to make you believe that they're great protein powders when really they're putting a lot of empty substances in them. A lot of times it can give you stomach aches. They can cause digestion issues. So you really just kind of have to try to do your best with the information you have. I personally love Dymatize protein. That brand, it tends to sit well on my stomach. It's very low in fats and carbs. And that's what I'm going for in a protein powder, because I try to stay away from protein powder as much as I can. But if I'm going to supplement with it, I don't want it to have a bunch of extra stuff in it. I want it to be pretty clean. I want it to be isolate. And I really just want to get that boost of protein from it without all the extra fats and carbs. So that's what I look for in a protein label. But when we shift our focus to protein bars, it gets a little tricky. All right, so I actually have some examples here, and a lot of these are well known. So I'm actually going to start with my favorite. I'm going to start with, if I'm going to have a protein bar, I use One. Where's it? There we go, One. Now, they might be lying their tails off, but the way to read nutrition labels, I'll say, is like this. If you're on this journey and you're trying to hit certain macros for a meal, you need to know how to read nutrition labels, even if they're off. So for example, this is a protein bar. It says it has 20 grams of protein, but if you go up, this is where it gets hairy. It also has 27 grams of carbs. Total sugars is 1. However, you got to scroll down a little bit and look at the sugar alcohol, which is 6 grams. So that's a little deceiving in itself. And then if you go up further, you'll see that it has 7 grams of fat. 4.5 grams of those are saturated fats. So not very nice fats. So when you take all of that into consideration, you'll see that this should not be in your daily routine. It can be if you want it to be, but I'm just saying if you have a specific goal that you're trying to hit and you want to do things right and you want to cross your T's and dot your I's, these should not be a part of your regular routine. I use these sort of as a cheat meal, or if I'm in a bind and I don't want to miss a meal, I'll stop by the gas station and grab one of these if it's all I have. And I tell my clients that, I say, you know, I would rather you have this than miss a meal, but by all means, don't make it a habit. So if you're buying boxes of protein bars to store at home, get rid of them. They're not doing you any favors. Switch on over to whole food. That's going to be your best case scenario. So that's just my personal preference. But then you have things like this that you'll see in a lot of gyms right here. Might not be the exact same brand, but you'll see like protein cookies or something like that. All right, so this is plant-based, which I won't get into that right now. Actually, I prefer animal-based protein for certain reasons, and I recommend my clients have animal-based protein, but I'm not gonna get into that in this video. 16 grams of protein, so not awful, that's pretty good. But then we go around to the back, and this is where it gets hairy again. So let's flip this on over. Sorry for the loud noises. Let's just start, because the first thing it lists are the ingredients. The first 4 ingredients on any package are going to be what most of the product is made of. So here we have the very first ingredient, enriched wheat flour. So not the best. Second ingredient is a protein blend. Third ingredient, inulin. And then the fourth is cane sugar. So not a whole lot of great stuff. Then there's a lot of oils in here. It looks like white chips, baking soda, salt, some things I can't even pronounce. And then if you look at the nutrition label itself, you've got 8 grams of fat, 4 grams are saturated fat, you've got 32 grams of carbs, and looky here, per serving. That's the other tricky part. I'm reading per serving, not per cookie, okay? Per serving, 8 grams of protein. So as we would have it, a serving is actually half of this. So let's go ahead and just say you get this and you eat the whole cookie. What are you gonna get? You're gonna get 16 grams of fat, you're gonna get 64 grams of carbs, and you're gonna get 16 grams of protein. So really, this isn't even a protein cookie. It's very low in protein compared to the other stuff. But the thing is, the way things are marketed makes a difference for people. So you see these in gyms all the time. You know, you might see this being pushed on social media or something. So you think, oh, this is a great product. So just know how to read your labels and know what you're going for. Is this gonna kill you after a workout? No. And honestly, if you're gonna eat something like this, post-workout is gonna be the best time to eat it, because right after you work out, your body is going to absorb those carbs to replenish your muscle glycogen. And when it does that, it's going to use these carbs to build muscle and not store fat. So just know, side note, if you're gonna eat stuff like this, post-workout is a great time to do it, if you're gonna do it. I will say having fat post-workout isn't that helpful. Having a little fat pre-workout can be helpful. But the other thing I'll say is that what I do with my clients to help their insulin resistance is, or their insulin sensitivity, I should say, is I try to keep their carbs around their workouts. And then I keep their healthy fats away from your workouts. So that way, when those carbs are entering their body and their insulin spikes a little bit, their body is using those carbs really efficiently. It's not like they're just eating them right before they go to bed and then sleeping all night. They're eating them around their workout, so their body's using them. And then those healthy fats are imperative, so you want to have those other times of the day. But if you're randomly boosting your insulin a little bit, like you're having a little carb here, a little carb there all throughout the day, your body tends to lose that sensitivity to the carbs. And carbs are in everything. So if you're spiking your insulin all these different points, you're not going to get as much benefit when you have them around your workout. So just want to throw that in there. Let's go on to the next one. So this is not marketed as a protein bar, but this is marketed as a health bar. Oh gosh, how can I do this? Anyway, it's a Nature Valley Crunchy Oats and Honey Bar. Now, I'm not saying all this to shame you if you eat these products, and like, to each their own. My husband eats these all the time. So that's not what this video is for. This video is just to give you information so you're not shooting yourself in the foot if you think you're doing something to help you that's really actually hindering you from making that progress. I just want to make that clear. So these are about as healthy as a candy bar. They've got 7 grams of fat, 29 grams of carbs, and 3 grams of protein. Let's look at sugars. They've got 11 grams of sugar, and keep in mind, they can be off by 20%. So I actually have a feeling it's a lot higher in sugar based on how it tastes. Just my thought. Now, The plus to this, I will say, is that the ingredients save it a little bit. The very first ingredient is whole grain oats. So there, at least oats is the first ingredient, which means it's mainly made of oats. However, second ingredient, sugar, then canola oil, then rice flour, and it pretty much gets worse from there. So again, not a great option, but this isn't to shame you, this is just to give you the information. So I only have a couple here left. I don't want to get too much into it, but I chose two that are quite popular. Let's start with the Kind bar, because that's a little bit closer to the oats and honey bar. This isn't recommended as a protein bar, but it is recommended as a very clean option for a meal replacement. The reason why they call it Kind is because it's kind to you. It ain't kind to you. So 15 grams of fat, we've got 16 grams of carbs, and guess how much protein? 6. So that's the other thing, is having significant protein every time you eat is so crucial. Protein synthesis is real. So protein helps your other nutrients be used more efficiently in your body. And so if you're just eating fats and carbs, especially together with very minimal to no protein, it's not doing you any favors. It might be giving you a little energy, but your body's not going to be absorbing those nutrients as well. So another reason why I'm not a fan of these, unless you're going to have, chicken on the side or an extra protein shake on the side or something. But I wouldn't even recommend that because that's more processed foods. On that note, I will be doing a video on gut health next week. And so stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe so that you get an update when that comes out, because I'm going to be talking about gut health as it relates to different things we put in our bodies, especially processed foods, etc. So this is marketed genius, right? They act like this is really, really healthy. The first two ingredients are almonds and peanuts. Those are very fatty. Almonds are great. It's a very great source of fat. Peanuts, not great. They're okay. If you want to eat those for your fat, that's great. There's way better options that contain a much better structure than peanuts do. Even almonds would be better than peanuts. But, having something like an avocado or avocado oil, or having some salmon that's got really healthy omega-3 fats in it, that's going to do your body so much better than getting fat from something like this. You're going to feel better. And that's something that's so crucial that we underestimate, is we want to feel good in this process. It's not just about looking good. We want to feel our best. So this isn't going to do it. So it's got some other junk in it, but it's not great. That's why I'm saying, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but none of these options are healthy. None of them. There's not a healthy bar out there. What I will say is, if you're not going for a protein option, but you need something, you just want something clean, like a clean snack, getting something like a fig bar or a date bar that has like 2 to 3 ingredients in it. Some of them will have dates, eggs, and nuts. That's a way better option. That's way cleaner. So if you read the ingredient list and it's got like 2 to 3 things, that's gold, truly. Again, you're not getting protein with it. That's the thing, is they have to put in processed protein to make these things protein bars. So if you're going to do something like a fig bar or a date bar, have it with some chicken or have it with some protein on the side. That's going to be your best bet. So, and I'll just say across the board, when you're looking at nutrition labels, if you're trying to decide between different products, if you look at the ingredient list, the less ingredients, the better. America is crazy, y'all. We have like 40 ingredients in our things, and it's nuts. So I challenge you to try to find those foods, the packaged items, if you're using them, that have the least ingredients possible. That's a great challenge, and that's going to really help take out a lot of the junk. I'll just say that. And again, don't forget that rule. The first 3 to 4 ingredients are what most of this product is made out of. Okay, this is a popular protein bar, Quest bars. I don't think they taste great. Some people do. I've eaten them before, but here we go. 9 grams of fat, 2.5 grams of saturated fat, got 6 grams of sugar alcohol, 22 grams carbs, and 21 grams of protein. So, for a protein bar, this probably is one of the better ones, but it's still not good, right? You got saturated fat in it. If you have a bunch of saturated fat, that can eventually lead to heart disease, just so you know. Side note, red meat got a bad rap for a while, but it's not the meat itself. It is the saturated fat that's in the meat that sucks. So just keeping that in mind. Look out for saturated fat, all right? And then doesn't have a lot of sugars, but it does have sugar alcohol. So again, that's a little deceiving. That matters. I'll give you a personal story. When I was eating one bars a lot, before I knew all this information and I was still green, I was eating them pretty regularly and I stayed soft. And my energy wasn't that great. As soon as I cut those out and I replaced it with a whole food meal, whether it be tilapia and rice, or maybe even a better fish like salmon and maybe some greens, I started feeling better and I started looking better. So again, I'm sharing all this to say that it's okay if you eat these. I'm not here to shame you for eating these. I'm not here to say that they're just the worst thing you can put in your body. There's definitely worse things you can put in your body. But I do just want you to be aware that if you're serious about your physique goals and you have this goal in mind and you're not satisfied right now because you haven't hit it, take these out. Make these a once in a blue moon thing. Stick with the whole food. Prep it yourself so you know what's going into it. And keep the ingredients very minimal, very minimal. You'll adjust. And then when you do and you're used to eating that whole food, these are going to taste like crap. So like I said, look out for my video next week because I'm going to be referring to a lot of what I talked about today when I discuss gut health. And again, if you got value from this video, please make sure you like and subscribe so you get notifications. I hope this helps. Stay strong, and I'll see you guys next time.